Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode on our channel. In this episode, basically it is dedicated to how we can create an EA with Gravity Band. Was my promise for you, for whoever is taking this indicator and helping out in developing that strategy and sharing back whatever comments, constructive feedback, so we can all trade together. And I really want to thank all people who have really shared their review. Thanks for all of you. I really appreciate it. And I'm super happy that this indicator is being profitable for you. So let's jump to the core of this video. Basically, in this video, as I promised, I'm gonna share a 3-episode series in which we're gonna talk about how to create an EA with Gravity Band. And the code that we're gonna write here, I'm gonna share it with you guys. You'll have the link inside the description below. You can just click on it, fill out the information, and you'll get the code by email. We will have basically 3 episodes. Each episode gonna talk about different details. So let's jump to the details. First, for who is this series? Basically, this series is for developers, for those who knows how to do MQL5, and also for non-developers, because I'm gonna go slowly. I'm gonna explain in details how it works, and I'm gonna share the code at the end. So the idea is really to understand and interpret gravity bands inside an EA. And the objective of these 3 sessions are really, one, how we can read gravity bands, so how we can put the inputs and read the data of gravity band. In the second episode, we're going to talk more about how to make an informed decision, so when to buy, when to sell, and how to set a stop loss and a take profit. And for the third topics, basically, I plan to talk about how to place stop loss on swing lows or highs. But however, if you wish me to cover another topic, a topic where you can cover it in 30 minutes, don't hesitate to leave us comments on this video with the topic you would like us to cover. And if it fits the 30 minutes and whatever we're delivering, I would be more than happy to do it in the third episode. So let's stop talking and jump to the coding part. First of all, to start, make sure you have the gravity band. Basically, whenever you download it from the market, it will be in your indicator and it will be in the market folder. Basically, I'm using this type of inputs, so 550, then 700, a breakout candle. It's a drop-down menu and the other information. So this is the input of the indicator. The EA should read this input, so it can create the indicator later on. And basically, the EA can read visually, but an EA will be depending on what we call the data folder or data windows that we have inside the indicator. So those buffers, basically we can read them. So for each candle, we have different values that appear here. So alpha, omega, beta, and so on. And as I'm moving my mouse or my cursor, different values are appearing. And those values really represents the buffers or the values of this indicator. An example for, let's say, a signal, let me get this one. For example, here we have a signal. So on this candle, if you can see the bullish BOS, basically we have a value for it. Wherever we don't have signal, the bullish BOS and bearish BOS are empty, so there's no signal to trade. So that's high level the EA, how the indicator, how it works, and we need to code it inside MQL5. First lesson or first technical point. This is a custom indicator, meaning it's not an indicator that is provided directly by metacode. And custom indicators can be read through a special function inside the EA, which is called iCustom. I'm gonna leave also for you guys the link for the iCustom function, so you can read the details, how it works and so on. And I'm gonna explain through the EA how we work. But basically, if I'm calling a iCustom, so I'm gonna call the symbol, for example, gold. I'm gonna call the period. So for example, I'm trading the M1. the name, so it's the market indicator that it's called gravity bands, and after that I'm gonna put the inputs, which I'm gonna cover in that video. You can see also you have a lot of built-in indicators inside MetaTrader that you can use, like AD, ADX, AMA, ATR, etc., etc. So let's jump to the code and let's see how we can start. So as a pre-requirement, basically I told you need to have gravity bands, you need to have, of course, MetaTrader, and you can go click on IDE. When you click on IDE, you will have this window that is open. Basically, this window is, for those who know it, it's where we create the code and create indicators and EA. For those who doesn't know it, well, this is the explanation. You go basically to expert, and you go to new file. Whenever you go new file, you're gonna check or you're gonna use expert advisor template. Next, you're gonna call it, for example, gravity bands episode 1. Trade it, and I'm gonna put my website, so www.traded. You can fill whatever you want here. Once you fill them, you can later on change them inside the code. So let me just click next and next and finish, and let me zoom out a little bit. So basically, whenever you are creating an EA, it's gonna create with the following functions. On init, simply is when I'm initiating the EA, what I'm gonna do. In our case, for example, we're gonna create the indicator, or we're gonna initiate the indicator so we can read from it. On the init is basically when we are deinitializing the EA, so we are closing the EA. In this case, I'm gonna delete what I have initialized as indicator because I don't need it anymore. And on tick, basically the price delivery, we have ticks. So if I go back to my charts just to show you, each time the price move, it's a tick. So and each time the price move, I can take an action. And here in this action, basically I can take action to open a trade, to close a trade, etc., etc. So we're gonna talk about it. First, let us focus in this video about how we can read gravity bands. First thing that I need is I need some inputs. So inputs, gravity band or bands. So what type of inputs basically I need? Simple. I need first the left part. So input, it's an integer, input left bars. I can give it a default value, so 5, and I'm gonna put a comment as left bar. I need an input int, so input right bars 5. Also, so here it's right bars. I need what do I have as input else? Let me open the inputs to check. So I need the minimum point for US. I need, all right, here I need the guardian limits. Let me continue, I'm gonna explain later what I wanted to explain now. Okay, so input. I need the filter type. In my case, basically, I have the filter type as a menu, I can use it like so. And to do this, I can use simply an enum inside my EA. So to do it, I'll put enum. I'll call it, for example, enum underscore signal underscore filter. And inside it, basically, I have three type of filters. So I have filter underscore, which is breakout. Inside the indicator, the filter breakout is equal to 0. The filter, which is breakout from underscore cloud, is equal to 1. And the third one, which is filter breakout underscore candle, it's equal to 2. The idea is I can simply just put here input int, and I put input filter and put, for example, 0 or 1 or 2. But visually it is not easy to know what is 0, what is 1, what is 2. That's why we create this enum. So here, instead of putting int, I'm gonna just take the enum filter and I'm gonna use a candle breakout. And this, we're gonna call it signal filter mode. All right. What else do we have as inputs? We have the beta hour and the omega hour. For the helpers, frankly speaking, I don't load them inside the EA. Maybe the distance, why not? But I will not load them inside the EA because they are insignificant. If I want to do alerts or push notification or whatever, I will not use the indicator, but I will use directly the EA to do this. So I will not create the other inputs. I'm just gonna create the input int. So input beta start hour equal to 10. Beta start hours. Let me copy this. And so beta start minutes. I have the input omega start minutes, so minute, it's 30. And the omega start I wrote it start wrong everywhere, so I'm just gonna correct them. Alright, and here basically I have all what I need. And if I compile, I have some errors. Let me check what are these errors. In the enum, I should put a simple if I compile now, basically everything works well. And if I go back to my charts, I have now gravity band CP1. If I double click on it, I can see it is loading and I have the inputs. If I click OK, well, it's gonna load, but nothing will happen as we don't have any logic inside it. So let me remove it and get back to my code editor. So now I have the inputs. What would be next? Next is I want to call my iCustom. So iCustom, basically, as I explained, you have everything inside this link. If you want to go and to read the details, you have even an example explaining how a indicator is working and how we are copying an indicator inside another indicator. We can use the same example to copy an indicator inside the EA. So the idea is to have the inputs to define what we call a handler or handle, and to define the buffer. The buffer is where we're gonna copy the values of the indicator and how we're gonna use them later. So to start, let me get back and just define whatever we have as a global variable that we're gonna use. Global variables. First, I have the handler. So gravity underscore handle or indicator handle equal invalid handle. I'm gonna use a double, let's say G buffer 0. So this is basically an array of doubles. Well, how much buffers we really need? Let me go back to the charts. So basically we have alpha line, omega, beta, gravity, 9. So we have 9 different buffers that the EA is providing. So we're gonna create 9 buffers inside the EA. I'm just gonna copy paste. I'm gonna change the numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So here we have 9 different buffers. Okay, now we have the buffers and we have the handle. We can start the initialization. The initialization is simple. We're gonna as spoke, gonna use the iCustom. So first I take the handle, which is the G indicator handle. It's equal to iCustom. So here I have the explanation. I start with the symbol, the time frame, the indicator name, and then the numbers. So time frame, basically I'm gonna use the current symbol. Then the period, I'm gonna use the current period. Then up the indicator name, it would be market backslash gravity bands. So the idea, I don't need to include indicators before. Automatically, as it's an indicator, it will gonna go to indicator folders. It's gonna search for market gravity bands, and this is the way it works. So gravity bands, and now I need to define the inputs. First, there's a tricky part in gravity bands that you need to know for those who are already developing EAs using indicator. I'm using what we call groups. So these groups, in reality, they are inputs, but they are inputs that I cannot add or edit that value. So these inputs need to be passed also. So this is my first input, this is second, third, fourth, the fifth input is an input as a group, so, and etc. So if I jump back, the first one would be the group, so I can put just to 0, I don't care about it. Then I have the input left bars, I have the input right bars, I have the input point BUS. Then I have a new group, so 0. Then I have the input limit points, the input filter. I guess I have after the input beta. Let me check. Then the beta omega. Okay, input beta start hour. Input beta start minute, input omega start hour, and input omega start minutes. And then I have a group. I have 100, which is the distance I need to initialize. And frankly speaking, for the last two, which are the push notification and whatever, I don't want to use them. Usually we don't use them. So I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna put a semicolon and I'm good. I'm good, yes, but I need to check if my handle is valid or not, because if I'm loading the indicator and the indicator is not working, I need to know it's not working. So I can just include an if. Inside the if, I'm gonna put a G in handle equal invalid. So if it is a valid indicator, basically it will no more be invalid because I started it with invalid. So we're gonna check if it's invalid or not. If it's invalid, basically I'm just gonna print failed to load gravity bands indicator from, let's say, the markets. Right? And what I will do here, I will not continue the execution of the A. I'm just gonna return init and failed. And in case the handle is correct, so I'm loading correctly the indicator, I'm just gonna let it go and return success. So that's a first thing to do. Let us just print a message, print basically gravity bands EA start. Okay. And if I compile now, everything is okay. Check if it's loading or not. Let me get back to my screen. Let me go to, or let me remove this one. In all cases, I'm not gonna see it because usually an indicator, an EA does not load an indicator on live charts. So even if I remove this, I'm gonna remove it just for the sake of the test. I'm gonna launch gravity bands. I'm gonna say okay. So I have gravity bands that is started okay, but I have nothing else. If I want to see if it's loading correctly or not the indicator, I can just go to the tester, stability tester. I'm gonna choose the gravity bands. I'm gonna put it on M1, last year, wherever, everything, inputs, the default. And basically here we can see already that we have the gravity band that is initiated. And basically you have here the alerts that are done by the indicator because we kept the default value to give a signal. And here you can see clearly all the indicators and so on. The configuration may not be the right one as we had, but at least we have it. So let's check here what's happening. In the inputs, yes, I have here it should be 15, and if I started I can get back and I can see that, sorry, start. I can see that it will be more like what we used to see on our graphs. So that's good. I have now, if you can see, I have here the data and the backtester, so I can see also at the right, you can see the data window and the different buffers that we have. Let me check for a day where we have a signal. For example, here we have a signal. So if I move it down, okay, here, and this candle basically have a signal. So that's how we initiate. Now, if I want to read those signals, what would happen? Let me zoom in, let me play it, but in a really slow mode. If I do this and I came here at the candle that is currently forming, basically you may have your indicator that will change. Now it's happening, they are not changing, but we can have cases where when this candle is developing, the values of the buffers are changing. And usually if you want to use an indicator, you never take this candle data. You're gonna check the candle that was closed and then take its data, because those data will never move on. So that's the idea. So how we can do this? Firstly, we need to know that we are on a closing candle. So a candle closed and we're starting a new candle, and then we're gonna read the buffers. So let us jump back to the code. Let me stop this one and jump back to the code to show you how we can do it. So inside the code, before jumping to on take, it's important on the init to de-initialize the indicator. So we have created. So here, for example, we gotta check if g underscore indicator handle is different from invalid handle. So it's a valid indicator that is loaded. Here what we can do is indicator release, and the indicator name is the indicator handle, and we're gonna put G indicator handle back to invalid handle. Alright? This is good whenever you are changing time frame or whenever you are sure that you are cleaning up the old indicator and loading a new version with the new period or with the new time frame. And now let's go to for reading the indicator. So first we're not gonna do it on tick. If you do it on tick, it's not reliable because you're gonna do for each tick, you're gonna read the same information. Ideally, you need to want once a new bar is starting or a new candle is starting, then you're gonna read the recent closed candle data, and based on that, you're gonna go and take your decisions. So how are we gonna do this? To do this, to read, we need to define the buffers, which we have done already. We need to know if we are on a new candle or not. So to do this, I need to basically define a date time. I'm gonna call, for example, G underscore last bar time, not nar, it's bar time, and I'm gonna initialize to 0. Then inside my ontick, as I have initialized this, I'm gonna tell date time t0, for example, equal I time, and I'm gonna use it for this symbol, I'm gonna use it for this period, and I'm gonna check the current candle. So how this works, why it's 0. So in MetaTrader we have something called time series, and I'm gonna explain it also when I'm starting to copy the buffers. This time series also I'm gonna send to you the link. Usually whenever you are building a array, for those who are developers, we build an array in a incremental way. So we go 0, 1, 2, etc., etc. So from older to newer. However, in MetaTrader we can set the series as a time series. Time series mean the most recent candle is 0, and then 1, and then 2, etc., etc. And when a new candle forms, then this one is no more 0, it becomes 1 because the previous one or the most recent one becomes 0. And usually when you are reading from an indicator, and usually 95% or 99% of the developers when doing codes on MQL5, they use this approach. So for us also, always the candle 0 is the current candle that is being formed. The candle 1 is the one that has just closed. So the 2 is the second candle that just closed, and so on. So we're gonna use this array set series inside our buffer so we can align to the indicator. So if I go back, before we talk about the array set series, so I was explaining this 0, why we had the 0. So we're gonna take the most recent candle. We're gonna check if this most recent candle is different from G last bar time. Once this EA started for the first time, basically there were difference. So we're gonna start checking the indicator here. And however, it is better not to check because maybe we're gonna open the EA in the middle of the bar. So I'm gonna get if G last time bar is different than 0. At this case, so we launched the EA, you are in the middle of a bar. I'm not gonna do anything, I'm gonna wait. At the next bar, I'm gonna start printing or reading the buffers. And here I'm gonna, let's say, keep a comment, read and print buffers. All right. This basically will allow us to run the read and take decisions on or opening and not on tick. In some cases we need to have on tick. I'm not gonna go into the details, but some EAs needs to have on ticks, and you don't need really to handle on opening of each one. But for me, for example, for this gravity band and for the strategy that we're using on the group, we do not really need on tick. A simple on candle is more than enough. Now we have defined this, now we need to read and print the buffers. So to read and print the buffers, the first thing we need to reinitialize the buffers, and we need to set them as at series, as I explained. So I go back to on init, and I'm gonna put array set as series, so it's g underscore buffer 0, and I'll mark it as true. I'm gonna copy this for 8 times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 1, sorry, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so I have now my buffers as time series. Now I want to read my buffer, so simply inside the onTick and last bar, I can simply say copy buffer. So the indicator I'm using is g handle. I'm gonna copy buffer 0. Buffer 0 is, if I go back to my indicator, so here, buffer 0 basically is the alpha line, buffer 1 is the omega line, buffer 2 is the beta line, and so on. Buffer 8 is the guardian low limit. So I'm gonna read the buffer 0. I'm gonna read the first I'm gonna start from the first position, so from the current candle. I'm gonna read one only information, so I'm gonna read the candle just being closed. I'm gonna put it in the buffer, which is g buffer 0. So a way to do it a little bit better is to check this copy buffer. So if this copy, meaning we have got correctly the information from the indicator, it's gonna return the number of elements that have copied. In our case, it is 1 element. So if this one is smaller or equal to 0, smaller or equal to 0 meaning it's returning -1, so it didn't work well. So we don't need to force it, and we just return, meaning we stop handling, which is we have an error in the indicator and we're not able to run anything. I'm gonna copy this also for multiple times, just to cover all the buffer that we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and don't have a 9. Oh, the last line, and same here. So I'm gonna copy the buffer 1, the buffer 2, the buffer 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. In this case, what I did, the EA is running. Each tick, I'm checking if I am on a new candle or not. Once I'm on a new candle, I'm copying the information. Now, how I can see those information? For this episode, basically, I'm just gonna do it simple. I'm just gonna print the information. We're gonna show them in the log. And for the next episode, we're gonna do more action on those buffers. So try to take sells, try to take buys, try to put a stop loss, take profit, and so on. So in our case, let us just print out print. So I'm gonna print the G buffer 0 and the position 0. Basically, it's an array, so we're obliged to tell them which position to print. Let me try to copy the rest to be simpler and faster. So this is 1. Up. B. 2. basically I should be good. In this case, I copied everything and let me compile, compilation okay. Let me jump to the MetaTrader. Let me hit on start. Let me open my tester. Zoom in. So basically here on my candle that is being formed. If I hit Control T, I have just the journal here. So once this candle is closed, I'm gonna start reading the previous data. Let me just zoom out, up. I can actually adjust a little. Alright, we have a problem here because we're having this going, but I don't have any print. Let me just check the code. Stop. Alright, so what we're doing on tick. I see the problem. So basically here we're the last part we're not changing it, so it's always 0. So we're not gonna never go here because usually I'm checking the time and I need to set glist bar. Once I check the F here, I'm gonna put glist bar equal to T0. So putting back the time to the current minute. So once we have the next minute, we know it's the next minute and vice versa. And now if I compile and I go back, I start and I check my, and here we have the data. So the data are not super cool because they have a lot of numbers. Basically you can simply use a formatting, so we limited them to 5. I'm gonna show you later, but let me take an example for, let's say, the first candle that we had. Let me zoom in. Okay, so or the last candle that is not closed, so this one. On this one, if you check the data window, for example, for the first line, which is alpha line, so we have 530033. If you check the logs below, so you have it. The 4327s for the second one, 4323 for the third one, etc., etc. So here we have all the data. You can notice that for the data that are missing, so for the fifth and sixth buffers, which are the bullish BOS and bearish BOS, we have a weird number, which is 1.79, etc., etc., etc. This is interpreted as empty value inside the code, so we're gonna cover this the next time. So it's interpreted as empty value. This will help us to determine the signals, and it will be covered the next time. As of now, we're now reading the indicator, we are reading the buffers on each candle, and we are getting the values, which is bring us to the end of this episode. You can basically check the link of the forms below. You're gonna just fill out the information and you're gonna receive the code that we have written, so this code by email, so you can use it just to see how it works, and it would be the cornerstone for the episode 2 and episode 3. Meanwhile, till next episode, I'm counting on you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you can receive notification when we're gonna release the next episode. I'm counting on you to leave comments for the episode 3 topic if you want me to cover other things than the stop loss, basically on swing low and swing highs. Thanks a lot. Thanks for you if you are a super community. Till the next time, have a great trading journey. Thank you.